I see the YouTube link.
And we are live.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our May 31st Committee of the Whole and Special Council meetings. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather and are zooming on today is the unceded traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. And today we're going to pause our planned City Council meeting to acknowledge the tragic discovery of the remains of 215 Indigenous children at the site of the former residential school in Kamloops, BC. Discovery is a confirmation of long-held assertions by Indigenous families and First Nations in BC and across Canada that their children tragically and forcibly were separated from their loved ones and their rich cultures and never returned home. We mourn the loss of the innocent children, some believed to be as young as 3 years old. We do not know the names or where they came from. While this discovery may be a shock to many, it is sad proof for residential school survivors and families who have been sounding the alarm about these lost children for many years. This was just one of over 100 residential schools across our country, including 5 here on Vancouver Island. For over more than a century, 160,000 children in Canada were forcibly removed from their families. These children were subjected to unimaginable cruelty, experimentation, and abuse, with the deliberate erasure of their language, tradition, and spirituality. The goal of residential schools was to kill the Indian in the child, with the last one closing in 1996. While we hope this discovery will allow some families to find closure, we acknowledge that there are countless others who are waiting for news of their family's own lost children. We will now pause for 1 minute of silence in honor of these children and to reflect on the tragic, dark legacy of all residential schools in Canada. And thanks everybody for taking that moment of silence. Our council has also decided to take a break and recess this evening so that councillors and staff can attend the vigil that's going to be happening at Sims Park starting at 5:30. For those that might be watching this live, you may want to plan to do the same. I just want to take a moment to reach out and give my thoughts and prayers to our local Comox First Nations. I did communicate with our Chief Rempel yesterday in regards to this horrific finding. I do also want to give a word of thanks to our staff and our volunteer firefighters who made sure that our flags were lowered as soon as possible in recognition of this tragedy. With that, we're going to move on to our regular council proceeding, and we're going to start with a motion to defer the Truck Loggers Association delegation.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. And the delegation has been made aware that because of extenuating circumstances, we do have to move their delegation to next week, and they didn't have any issues with that as far as I know. Anybody opposed to that deferral? Seeing none, that passes. Next, motion that council waive notice and amend the start time of the May 31st, 2021 special council meeting to occur immediately after the 2.11 municipal and regional tax MRDT reimplementation of the committee of the whole agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for that. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. And with that, we go on to 2.11 municipal and regional district tax MRDT reimplementation. If somebody could move the motion.
I'll move receipt, if that's okay.
Okay. And if somebody could second the receipt.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Councillor McCollum, and I'll pass it over to staff, CAO Jeff Garbett.
Thanks, Council and Mayor. We have a staff report that was prepared by our financial services staff with the assistance of Tourism Vancouver Island. Jennifer Nelson's going to give an overview of this report. Before we start, I just wanted to acknowledge the incredibly quick work that was done in order to move this forward, both by our Courtney staff in the financial services sector, led by Ms. Nelson, Tourism Vancouver Island, and as well assistance from our colleagues at the CVRD. So over to you, Ms. Nelson.
Yes, thank you through the CAO to Mayor and Council. So as a result of the pending termination of the contract between the Comox Valley Economic Development Society and the Comox Valley Regional District, the existing municipal, regional, and district tax in place is impacted by this. So currently, CVEDS, or the Comox Valley Economic Development Society, is the designated recipient for these funds. And then they contract with Tourism Vancouver Island to administer them. So this is an additional 2% on the sale of accommodation in the City of Courtney accommodation area, which is then used towards tourism marketing programs and projects. So as a result of the contract cancellation, we've been notified by the Ministry of Finance that as a result, the existing MRDT will essentially be canceled, and a brand new application needs to be resubmitted with support from the hoteliers within the accommodation area. So normally this process takes about 9 months. You have to have the full application package in 9 months prior to even it being implemented. However, given the extraordinary circumstances, the minister has reached out and indicated they're willing to fast track our application for us if we can compile the full submission by June 7th. So Tourism Vancouver Island has been extremely helpful and pulled together all the documents that are required. We've drafted a bylaw that needs to also be adopted by council. And that is what we're bringing here today for you, so we can submit that application. So just again, want to take the opportunity to thank TVI, Tourism Vancouver Island, for all the work and the very speedy turnaround on this application for us. We do have them here on the meeting as well. Colin Matthews and Anthony Everett are here with us. So I think that pretty much sums up why we've brought this forward to you, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Nelson. I really appreciate it. And again, just to echo what CAO Jeff Garbett was saying, just huge kudos to staff for moving this along so quickly. Again, our original ETA to get this through the sausage maker of the provincial government was not going to be quick at all. And really, really happy to see things moving along as quickly as they are. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Councillor McCollum.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to echo some of our CAO's comments about just how impressive it's been to see this put together and possibly be delivered by the end of the week. I realize that it's been an incredible additional burden to staff, and I hope that all of the participants in this service, being our hoteliers, are appreciating that effort, because I imagine that in addition to everything else that's going on, it's been a lot. So I'm just happy to see it on the agenda, and I'm happy to move the suggested motion when everyone is done with their questions.
Thanks, Councillor McCullum. And Councillor Hillian.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll certainly echo that. Thanks to staff for all the work. Just note that we have Mr. Matthews and Mr. Everett on the call, and I wonder if it would be possible for either of them to just say a quick word about their engagement with this, and just to introduce themselves to the community.
Hello, everyone. I'll go first. Anthony Everett. Glad to be back. Thrilled to be back for this topic. It is remarkable achievement. Everyone involved should be kudos. I've never seen it in my career. So it is remarkable. And I'll let Callum just quickly say a few things. I don't think we need to take a lot of time. You have everything you need before you. I will say one thing is that you mentioned the hoteliers. It's rare as well, but we have 100% support. Callum got the last call today. So that is great news for not only Courtney, but the whole of the regional area there. And this just will help build on what we presented on, Karen and I presented on last time. So thanks for having us. And this is what we do. So it was a bit of effort, but not onerous. And Callum, just wrap up here.
Thanks, Anthony. And yeah, I think all that I would add is that you've all had an opportunity to review the 5-year plan. Our approach when creating these documents is to have enough specifics that it really articulates a clear 5-year vision, but to also leave enough room for us as marketing professionals and to really respond to industry need. And I think over the last year, we've seen firsthand the challenges of fencing yourself in too closely with really restricted plans. So this allows some freedom to move around while also articulating a clear vision for how to move forward. 100% support from accommodation properties with 4 or more rooms is exceptional. I've never had that happen on an MRDT project I've been involved in. So I think that just speaks to the level of support for the plan. And I think that about sums it up from my perspective.
Excellent. Thanks for that. And I think that, it seems like, unprecedented times and lots going on. And I think our expectations certainly weren't particularly high in this regard. And it's been amazing to see what's happened. Councillor Frisch.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And I think maybe special thanks to the provincial government. It sounds like they stepped up for us as well, so that's really great. I also just wanted to point out or to ask if you guys have made contact with the hoteliers. It sounds like you have, and met them, and I know they're probably really excited to start working with you guys. But do you foresee keeping that sort of DMAC structure in use?
Yeah, Callum, I'll jump in. Yes. So, but we need to have what works really well for us in these contracts that we manage on the island is a really robust advisory group. I'm hesitant to use DMAC just because that was from before, and we'll have something. Everything we do is informed by industry, and so they will be involved. I speak to them many times a week in your area, and they're very engaged, and we have a great relationship, and they'll be very involved. But more than just the hoteliers, I need to point out, it'll be all the other sectors that tourism touches on will need to be at this table and informing the plans as we move forward. That's, I think I mentioned last time, we're big on that. This is required, and it's part of our DNA to provide it this way. So that's what we'll do.
If I could
that's really great. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to add that the only other aspect from management and governance that is included in the 5-year plan is a suggestion that a tourism advisory committee of council is created that has a certain breadth and depth of different operators in the tourism sector, from food and beverage all the way to accommodation properties, to provide input to Tourism Vancouver Island as a contractor on marketing deliverables, but also feedback directly into council on kind of performance and kind of overall delivery of the 5-year plan.
Well, it's certainly interesting to hear that, and look forward to seeing the work in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Frisch. And yeah, again, I think that it's been, there was a lot of concern. I was certainly on the phone a lot with many of our hoteliers over the last 6 months as we've been moving through this process. And obviously, since the notice was given to CVEDs, and as Councillor Frisch mentioned, actually talked and worked with our own MLA, Ronna Ray Leonard, who generally doesn't have to push this hard, but I was speaking with her on almost twice, 3 times a week, just to make sure that we were moving this thing in the right direction and banging on the right trees and drums as need be. So again, I think everybody just really worked really well on this particular thing together. And I don't see any further questions or comments, so I'll dispense of receipt if somebody would like to move the motion.
I'll move the motion, Mayor. I'll move that based on today's staff report, municipal and regional district tax MRDT re-implementation, that council approved proceeding with the application to the Ministry of Finance to implement the MRDT within the City of Courtenay, and that council endorsed the City of Courtenay Municipal and Regional District Tax Levy Bylaw number 3041/2021, and that Tourism Vancouver Island be authorized as a designate authorization for tourism program implementation, and that council direct staff to proceed with drafting a contract with Tourism Vancouver Island to administer the tourism and destination marketing programs and MRDT for council approval.
Second.
Excellent. And we've had a pretty good discussion. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none on this one here, I am going to poll council, starting with Councillor Cole-Hamilton.
In favor.
Councillor Frisch.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Hillian.
In favor.
Councillor McCollum.
In favor.
Councillor Morin.
In favor.
And Councillor Theos.
Favor.
And I'm in favor as well. That's unanimous. Excellent. Thanks very much for that. And next, we are now going to recess. So the motion is to the committee of the whole be recessed until after our May 31st open special council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Is anybody opposed? Seeing none, we're now recessing the COW meeting, and we are starting our special council meeting. First up is bylaws, and we have bylaw for the City of Courtenay Municipal and Regional Tax Levy Bylaw.
Mayor, should we excuse our guests, or I don't know if they want to hang out for the whole thing, or?
Yeah, they don't have to hang out if they want. Maybe they're interested in. I mean, we're talking taxes some more, so. But if they want to head off, they're more than welcome to. All right, thanks, Anthony, and really appreciate your guys' expertise and assistance through this process.
I can move this, Mayor, if you like,
Thank you.
as soon as I reduce my other screen. Oh, that I've got it here. Just one sec. I'll move that City of Courtenay Municipal and Regional District Tax Level Bylaw number 3041/2021 be given first, second, and third reading.
Second.
Excellent. And is there any questions or comments regarding this bylaw? I know we've spoken about it in the past. Seeing no questions or comments, I'll poll council, starting with Councillor Cole-Hamilton. I heard you, I saw your lips, but I didn't hear you actually.
In favor.
Thanks, Councillor Cole-Hamilton. And Councillor Frisch.
In favor.
Councillor Hillian.
In favor.
Councillor McCollum.
In favor.
Councillor Morin.
In favor.
Councillor Theos.
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well, so that's unanimous. Thanks for that. And for final adoption, we have the OCP for 2700 Mission Road.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that official community plan amendment bylaw number 2996, 2020, 2700 Mission Road be finally adopted.
Second.
Excellent. Thanks for that. And are there any questions or comments regarding this bylaw? Seeing none, I'll poll council, starting with Councillor Cole-Hamilton
In favor?
and Councillor Frisch,
In favor.
Councillor Hillian,
In favor.
Councillor McCollum,
In favor.
Councillor Moran,
In favor.
and Councillor Theos.
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well, so that's unanimous. And next we have a second motion for 2700 Mission Road as well.
Mayor, I'll move
I'll be
that
happy to-
zoning amendment bylaw number 2997, 2020, 2700 Mission Road be now finally adopted.
Second.
Excellent. Thanks, Councillor Hillian and Councillor Cole-Hamilton. Any questions or comments regarding this bylaw? Seeing none, I'll poll council, starting with Councillor Cole-Hamilton,
In favor?
Councillor Frisch,
In favor.
Councillor Hillian,
In favor.
Councillor McCollum,
In favor.
Councillor Moran,
In favor.
and Councillor Theos.
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well, so that's unanimous. And lastly is adjournment of the special open council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, we are now adjourned of the special open council meeting, and we are returning to our committee of the whole. And with
Move that
that,
we reconvene the committee of the whole meeting.
Second.
excellence. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, we are now reconvened. Thank you, Councillor Hillian and Councillor Moran. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Councillor McCollum.
Thanks, Mayor. Just trying to find my unmute button here. Where am I? I'll move that whereas the City of Courtenay voted unanimously to recognize the climate crisis and to apply a climate lens to every aspect of their new official community plan, and to set as a strong strategic priority actions to address climate change mitigation and adaptation. And whereas the use of fossil fuels are understood to be the world's greatest contributor to climate altering greenhouse gas emissions. And whereas the MFA fossil fuel free short-term bond fund has, since its inception, outperformed the FTST Canada Short-Term Overall Bond Index. And whereas the Municipal Finance Authority of British Columbia believes that investment processes that incorporate ESG, environmental, social, governance factors, and other broad systemic issues can lead to better investment outcomes. And whereas the MFA now requires that all but one of its pooled funds incorporate ESG through adherence to the United Nations Principles of Responsible Investment, or UNPRI, and other Canadian financial institutions offer securities and pooled investment funds that select for ESG factors. Therefore, be it resolved that Council directs staff to review and report back on investment policy that can achieve the following considerations. Divest from fossil fuel companies by supporting fossil fuel-free investment portfolios, such as the MFA fossil fuel-free short-term bond fund, and build on the examples of fossil fuel-free investing strategies from other municipalities such as Victoria and Vancouver. 2, select investments that make positive contributions to ESG factors. And 3, align investment with the section 183 of the Community Charter and best practices for investing in public funds.
Second.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Councillor McCollum, and seconding Councillor Cole-Hamilton. And are there any questions and comments? And first up, we have Councillor Hillian.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor McCollum for bringing this forward. I actually wanted to hear from staff regarding any concerns they may have about the implications of this, and I know Mr. Garbett has also got his hand.
All right. CAO, Mr. Garbett.
Thank you, through Councillor Hillian to Council. Thanks. I spoke to Councillor McCollum about this, and I explained, a bit of our process, and I really appreciated the background work. And Ms. Nelson and finance staff have done some research through the work that was done at MFA and with the City of Victoria. This will take us some time to analyze and report back, particularly with respect to how to adjust our investment portfolio. And so this would be a 2022 budget response item. These are very well organized, and the ability is certainly there now through all the hard work done, led through the City of Victoria. And I believe there's also been some work with the City of Vancouver, who operate in a slightly different mechanism. But we really appreciate that, and we understand that this is a priority for Council, and we will start that process. But I just want to advise that ultimately on the implementation discussion side, it will be kind of through our budget renewal process.
Excellent. And Councillor McCollum, sorry, I should let you speak to your own motion afterwards, but I'll let you do that now.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Mayor. And I appreciate the CAO clarifying that this is a kind of a longer term item and not something that we expect a immediate report back on, but it is part of our long-term goals and something that is a bit of a gap in policy. And I did just want to make a few other comments with regards to why I brought this motion forward. When we were presented with the audited financial statements this year, it was noted that our investments had increased by 10 million from the previous years, and it came up in the discussion that we don't currently have a policy in place for how we manage these, and there's really no reason that we can't put some consideration into whether or not our investment choices are aligning with our values. Council has also made addressing climate change a priority, and again, I don't really see why this couldn't extend to how we manage our reserves. Many charitable organizations, post-secondary institutions, municipalities, and even BC's largest union, CUPE, began divestment from fossil fuels some time ago. And thanks to this collective action, it's becoming increasingly feasible for smaller organizations like our own to access investment products that better reflect our values. And in this case, I would argue that would be fossil fuel-free options, or ESG. And then just the final point I wanted to underscore is that this does not represent a decrease to the city's investment revenues. Fossil fuel sector has not performed well over recent years. In fact, it has significantly underperformed against the renewable energy investments for each of the last 10 years. Including these considerations when we're purchasing our investment products is really, it's prudent and risk averse. It's not a lost opportunity in terms of revenue. So just wanted to make those comments.
Excellent. Thanks, Councillor McCollum, and again, thanks for bringing this forward for us. And I think you're well thought out in terms of that it does make financial sense. And as I think it was Wayne Gretzky said, you kind of want to skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where it was. And I think this is a great example of the industry really expanding at rates that, as you said, outperform the fossil fuel industry. So thanks very much for bringing that forward. Councillor Hillian.
Thanks, Mayor. And I'd just like to acknowledge the background material that was provided, which will be on the city's website and is worthwhile reading. It was very helpful. For people who may be watching who don't know, the Municipal Finance Authority is the organization that finances all of the city's major capital projects, and we get a preferred borrowing rate. This is not any sort of flaky left-wing organization. It's the major financial house for the province's local governments. And they have researched and thought out extensively the implications of what's being suggested here. I would also reference for people, there's an excellent article in the financial section of the Saturday Globe and Mail talking about a massive proposed oil development by a Canadian company in the the area of Namibia that is controversial because it is also a habitat for elephants, and it's a microcosm of the contradictions between both trying to achieve our climate goals and protect the natural environment, while at the same time looking at the economic benefits that can come from this type of development. But those are the types of challenges that face us as we recognize the climate crisis and attempt to grapple with it. And I think the information that will come forward will give the council an opportunity to make a sound decision on the best way to move forward with this policy. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Helene. And Councillor Cole-Hamilton.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think most of the points I was considering making have already been made, and I think obviously there are reasons in terms of climate policy, but to consider also the financial reasons, as you were emphasizing, and as Councillor McCollum was for making such choice. It's also interesting that the Comox Valley was where the sort of the social procurement movement in Vancouver Island was born. I do see some similarity there. It's about where as a community one is going to be spending money to get good value, but to have a full understanding of what constitutes value. And I see this being very much of a piece with the social procurement policy and the many successes it's had. So I just want to thank Councillor McCollum for bringing this up, and look forward to us being able to move forward with it.
Thanks, Councillor Cole-Hamilton. Yeah, and I feel relatively fortunate. I have had many chat with Sandra Hamilton since she moved back to the UK, and just over the last week we were chatting and looking to see how an idea like this has grown to international proportions that are just absolutely amazing when we talk about the social procurement side of things. But I think we're seeing that same force and that same really common sense of this is the best choices, not just because it feels right, but it actually makes financial sense as well. Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to add my my support and acknowledgement and thank you to Councillor McCollum for bringing this forward as well. I think whenever we can, whatever decisions we can make that correspond to the values and the community values, I think it's always a great idea. And I think that this kind of action steers us in the right direction. So thank you.
All right. And I don't see any further questions or comments. So with that, I'll poll council, starting with Councillor Cole-Hamilton.
In favor.
Councillor Frisch.
In favor.
Councillor Hillian.
In favor.
Councillor McCollum.
In favor.
Councillor Morin.
In favor.
Councillor Theos.
In favor.
And I'm in favor as well. That's unanimous. Thanks very much. Great conversation. And next we have a motion to go in camera.
This one, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll move that a special in-camera meeting close to the public will be held May 31st, 2021 at the conclusion of the regular council meeting pursuant to the following subsections of the community charter: 91C, labor relations and other employee relations; 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality; 91J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act; 91K, negotiations and related discussion affecting the proposed provision of municipal service that are in their preliminary stages, and that a view of council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. And finally, 92B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government and federal government or both and a third party.
Seconded.
Excellent. Thanks for moving and seconding that. Any questions or comments regarding it? Seeing none. Anybody opposed to going in camera? Nobody's opposed. That's unanimous. Next, we have adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Anybody opposed to adjournment? Seeing none. We are adjourned.